No, not this monster. This monster. He's an eternally drunk, bratish baby boy that bags so many bitches, he can't even count them on both hands. Which he can't walk on both legs, so. The objective? Take part in an arranged marriage. For $750 million? With inflation, he'd be richer than Kanye West, as of a few months ago. The problem? He loves his hookers much more than the woman. Until he meets ooh la la. So yeah, I won't spoil anything further, but Arthur and Linda fall in love. Even if he doesn't become the billion-dollar baby from that transaction. So, let's go and explore how the actors of these two lovebirds separately had 4 failed marriages and ended up single. I know it's crazy, but it's true. Hey yo! Boom boom boom. This is la la la. This is my cover of Arthur's theme. Thank you to MacLeod for your beautiful piano playing.
If you get caught between the moon and New York City, I know it's crazy, but it's true. If you get caught between the moon and New York City, that's the best that I can do.
Dudley Moore! He was given one of those things you see under someone's name on Wikipedia, so he was not a dud. Despite being considered a B-list actor, namely in the latter half of his career, it seems like Dudley enjoyed his time on the screen. By his first marriage, he was already pretty popular, even though he was landlocked on the "oh, I'm British" side of the world. He performed in Beyond the Fringe, which made it all the way to Broadway here in America, along with the British Bedazzled.
Oh, I'm British.
This lucky lady was Susie Kendall, who was noteworthy for leaving on amicable terms with Dudley. It's interesting that her career was flatlining, and she wanted to settle down, whereas Dudley's career kept picking up steam. Arthur Bach, the character, wanted to settle down above all else, since he found the one.
Do you promise to love me, and obey me, and be a good boy?
Clearly, Susie was not the one, and neither were these next 3. Dudley's next marriage with Tuesday Weld was a bit less stable. That may be because Tuesday was a bit less stable of a woman, who, no shocker, was a child actor. I'm sure we'll be getting to that later. Liza Minnelli, daughter of Julie Garland. The daughter of her father's 4th wife had a recurring theme. She got into all the temptations of the world at a young age, and unfortunately attempted suicide when she was 12 years old. Dudley and her got married, and the following year she bore his first child, but they were done before their 5-year. According to her, he's a major asshole. I mean, Dudley did leave her with a 4-year-old, and the marriage would have been unraveling while he was playing Arthur, which couldn't have translated well into real life. No. Separate character from reality! Dudley's next spin at the lottery of love was Brogan Lane. He either met her on the set of Arthur or on 6 Weeks. Sources conflict on this. This is a quick 2.5 years of marriage, until Lane filed for divorce, citing irreconcilable differences. Not much to see there. It is important to remember that all of these marriages have ended peacefully, as much as a divorce can anyway. This next one is where things get ugly. To start, Dudley was dating Nicole Rothschild while he and Lane were still married. Oh god, another blonde. How could a British boy be so basic? They had a son 1 year after their marriage, and 3 years after that, they divorced. But in between, there was a lot of controversies. These include a lot of he said, she said, but the fights were wild. When watching the Academy Awards before they were married, a fight ensued that left Dudley with a charge of domestic assault. And a week later, he proposed. That sounds like manipulation on her part to me, but during the marriage, she was also a bit too close in contact with her ex-husband, Charles Cleveland, but Cuddly Dudley played along, buying him a sports car, among other things. With that in mind, there's a lot to unpack here in this quote. Cleveland frequently visited Nicole, and it was at this house that Dudley and Nicole had their final confrontation, a fight that finished with the sex symbol's face scored by deep scratch marks.
Scratch me, woman!
He also left Nicole Rothschild £2.5 million at the time of his death in 2002, while she left a dark cloud on his final years and beyond. She was not allowed at his funeral, and she still talked about going. Yeah, pretty toxic, but unlike Britney Spears, let's check out a bad bitch. What was I doing again? Oh yeah, Liza Minnelli! Oh, 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 oh! I knew her from Cabaret. Others may know her by association to her mother, Judy Garland. Based on this, she did not live in her mom's shadow, but it did help her notoriety and her love life. Her first marriage was to Peter Allen in 1967, whom Judy hooked Liza up with. In an instance of inception, he has a songwriting credit on Arthur's theme. Unlike Arthur, however, he was not feeling the females as much as he let on, and apparently was getting it on with Judy Garland's fourth husband, Mark Herron. Needless to say, they divorced, and Liza remarried soon after. Jack Haley Jr., the son of the original Tin Man, was her next partner in legality. Really passing on the asbestos from one generation to the next, huh guys? Surprisingly enough, Jack Sr. lived long enough to see his son marry and divorce. Senior's death and Junior's divorce were a few months apart, unfortunately. Her longest marriage was to Mark Giro. Her closest shot at motherhood was marked by 3 miscarriages with them. Overall, marriage 3 devolved into an uncontested divorce for Minnelli. And sure, I'll take the comparison this far. Her 4th marriage also ended based on abuse accusations by her partner David Guest, just like how Moore was labeled an abuser by his last wife, Nicole. While the accusations against Moore were skeptical at best, Minnelli was known to be a lifelong alcoholic and drug abuser. My whole life, this disease has been rampant. I inherited it, and it's been horrendous, but I've always asked for help. We also got the tidbit from the Banana Man, Andy Warhol, that she pulled up to a fashion designer's house one time begging for drugs, and received coke, marijuana, Valium, and 4 Quaaludes. How many miles would you walk for that shit?
The big man would walk 20 miles for a Quaalude, let me tell you! That was the drug back there in the late 70s and 80s, Quaaludes!
Unlike Dudley Moore, Liza Minnelli has no children to succeed her, but she is thankfully still alive, and to my knowledge, none of her enemies will be threatening to go to her funeral once that untimely day comes. What? Are you surprised? It's been like 2 weeks. I broke my other glasses, my beard grew back, leave me alone. So, how does this all relate to Arthur? Well, the trope of love at first sight seems to repeatedly ring true, which doesn't inherently mean a smooth sailing relationship. You know, the fictional pair would argue and make up, as lovers do. Except for the real people, there seemed to always be a breaking point, so you can't really say for them that love withstands all. Next, there was violence in their real-life relationships, specifically in the 4th marriage for each of them. Of course, Arthur in the movie was the one to bring nothing to the knife fight, and later on, Dudley got hacked and slashed by his 4th wife. Maybe things weren't working out for him. I mean, alcohol had something to do with it, namely in Liza's 4th marriage, and while I was happy to read that Dudley split off from his old pal Peter Cook due to Cook's alcoholism, partially, I guess Dudley fell in a similar trap later on as well. There was no IRL arranged marriages after Liza's first marriage, which was kind of sort of one, so that's good. And honestly, Dudley and Liza always gave marriage a shot in their own regards. I don't know the statistics of spontaneously divorcing someone, but there was clear problems in all their relationships, and the shortest one here was like 3 years, so not bad. Their persistence was admirable. The biggest problem appeared to be once the couple settles down, which is a topic of Arthur 2 on the rocks. Yes, it's real. 20 likes and I do a more movie-centric video on it, which is kind of what I like doing anyway. And I heard it sucks, so it should be fun to rip and tear until it is done! All in all, this is not to criticize these actors. It's just an interesting thought experiment, you know? These two portrayed such a picturesque relationship on the big screen together. And if they linked up on the set of Arthur, it would have been 3rd time's the charm for Bofa. They likely weren't interested in each other, and that's fine. But none of their own relationships ever had that happy ever after.
Like us.
Alright, so I gotta wake up in like 3 hours, but I just had to get this video over 10 minutes. And this video took like 6 weeks to make or something, not, you know, clearly 6 weeks of work, just a lot of demotivation, and it was a huge fucking mistake trying to do this during school. Like, I have that, and then I was kind of treating this like a chore, like a school project, so it just was not getting done for a while, but I'm really happy that it's over. I know I could do better. I think my next video is gonna relate to this guy in some way, so make sure you stay tuned for that, and make sure you like for something about Arthur too. If you stay tuned till the end, thank you very much for watching. It means the world to me. This is the type of stuff I want to do. I'm hoping I'll get better. I did one little thing in After Effects this video. I'm hoping to do 2 in the next video, and then 3, and then, so on and so forth. That program could be really cool, I feel like. So yeah, thanks for giving me a chance.